Is that a trick question? This man was a bona fide scrub. Bona fide scrub.
This dude, I believe he's a bona fide superstar right now.
Right. Oh, well, of course, it's all about winning, baby.
Yeah.
Are you loving the NBA season so far, matey? Actually, you're a Warriors man, so you'd be a happy man these days.
Yeah, I am, mate. And that's what I wanted to kind of kick it off with is just how good NBA basketball is at the moment. And I know Draymond Green, who's, I think probably the best defender league-wide in the last 10 years, came out and said, how much he's enjoying watching the game, knowing that he doesn't have to put up with the, quote, to quote him, bullshit fouls. And that's what I love. And the last element of it is going to be the fast break fouls and getting rid of that and incentivizing players or decentivizing players not to take take fouls, on fast break opportunities, and that becoming, a free throw and possession kind of thing. That's the last thing. And then, apart from that, I think the game is in as good a shape as it's been in years, to be totally honest. The game style and also the fact that I look around the league, and especially the Nets now without Kyrie Irving, I look around the league and I think, who's actually the best team in the league? Who is it? There's no super teams right now. Especially, Harden is, getting his way into the season kind of thing. Harden and KD, cool, they're great. But are they out and out the best team in the league? I don't think so. I was looking at the championship odds this morning. The Lakers are still second favourite for the championship. And I'm in what world, given how they're playing and the Westbrook fit? LeBron's already got an injury. AD starts the game yesterday and then has a stomach virus or something and doesn't play the last three quarters. And the Lakers are still second favourite. And I'm just really? So that obviously tells me the bookies aren't sure of, what team could come up and win the championship this year. And we spoke about it on last podcast, and we being myself and Will Haywood, kind of argued against your take that Miami were now genuine title contenders. And I will apologise, and I'll go back on that. And it's not necessarily how well Miami have played in the last week, because I think they lost that game to Boston on Friday, I think it was, something like that.
And lost us money as well.
Yeah, so that wasn't great. So it's not like that they're necessarily playing lights out. It's more so the fact they're playing well, they're a top team in the East, and I don't know who the favourite is right now or who the best team in the league is. So if you're anything half decent, I don't know, I'm almost putting you up there as, you could win it maybe. Who knows at this stage? Have you got any thoughts on that?
I've got numbers as well. So the 3-point percentage is 34.6, so it's the worst of this century. Field goal 44.7, which is one of the worst as well. And turnovers are up, and turnovers are like 15.4. I think I read, and I couldn't be happier, mate. I think the last few years, All-Star Game was the most extreme example, where I'm just watching 3 after 3, open dunks, no form of defense, no sort of trying, and it was hard to watch. So one of my favorite things about the NBA is how player-driven it is, and how much they listen to the fans, and how much they want us to actually enjoy the game of watching. And for all the people naysayers about the game, I'm absolutely loving the fact that you have to try now. You have to actually go out there and play defense. You actually have to go and try and adjust, I think, is what I'm looking forward to, particularly as the season starts rolling on, is the players that adjust the best. The players that are able to, the teams as well, that are able to make adjustments mid there. So I do love the fact that we have to try even harder. I love the idea of the fouls. I know it's James Harden and the frustration I had over the years with his hook fouls and everything. So I just think it's the NBA listening to fans, and I think they'll try even harder. They'll even throw in those some other things on top of that as well. You just said those fast break fouls. Is there anything that you don't like, though? Is there anything that you haven't...
Not really. And I guess it's a factor of, you're a Heat fan, I'm a Warrior fan. Right now, they're two of the best teams in the league. And the reason... so we're really happy. But the reason is because the Heat and the Warriors, you look at those two teams, they're currently... The Warriors are first, the Heat are fourth in defensive rating so far. And they're two teams that really care about defense. And I feel like in past seasons, you could care about defense, but the rules and the refereeing still wouldn't allow you to be any good at defense. So now with the change in interpretations and the change in rules, those teams that care about defense are being rewarded. And there's so many players around the league, and most of the time they're superstar players who don't care about defense. And they're sitting there and they're like, hey, I'm just here to get 30. I'm not caring about defense. And the way NBA and basketball defense works and how good offenses are, that if you have one guy on the floor that doesn't care about defense, your whole defense is shot. Like, you can't manage. The opposition offense will find a way through your defense and score at will. And I look at the Heat and the Warriors, and, I mean, you look at my Warriors, for example, I think Draymond Green is a great defender. He is a great defender. I think he's the best defender of the last 10 years. But outside of that, I mean, you look at the starting lineup, Steph Curry, undersized, Jordan Poole, undersized, Andrew Wiggins turned himself into a reasonable good defender. That's fair. Draymond's a great defender. And then Kevon Looney's the most unathletic 6'9" guy you've ever seen in your life. That's the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Outside of Green being a great defender and Wiggins being a good defender, like, that five isn't special defensively, but you know what? They all care about defense. And that's the difference right now. And you look at Steph Curry and Jordan Poole, they're like top 10 for guards in defensive rating this season. And I'm not here to say, Steph Curry should be Defensive Player of the Year and that he's one of the best guard defenders in the NBA. That's not the case. But what it does show is when he's out there, him and his team that are out there at that point, they care about playing defense. And that's the major thing. Teams that care about defense can now be rewarded by that. And, I mean, the Heat are a little bit different because I think the Heat just have great defenders on that team. I mean, apart from Duncan Robinson, I've said it before, Jimmy Butler's a great defender. Bam is a really good switchable center there that can guard basically 1 through 5. Kyle Lowry, for his size, is a good defender. And PJ Tucker, we know, is known as a stopper, if you can. KD stopper, PJ Tucker right there. So the Heat, 4 of those 5 players are kind of known as really good defenders. The Warriors are a bit different. They've got one great defender in Draymond, and that's why I think anyone that wants to have a look at Draymond Green for Defensive Player of the Year, I think he's still around $20 odds. I mean, I'm sick of Rudy Gobert winning it. I'm sorry. I watched the Jazz versus your Heat yesterday, and the Jazz made the comeback with Rudy Gobert on the bench and Hassan Whiteside was on the floor. And why? Just because, I mean, maybe it was just Whiteside was playing better that game. I understand that. But if you're a Defensive Player of the Year, you should be on...
That doesn't sound the right...
You should be able to end games. And the only way you shouldn't end games... Maybe I get the fact that, okay, Rudy Gobert's not an offensive player, you're down 15 to 20, you need to come back, and therefore you want to score points. Well, okay, but Hassan Whiteside was on the floor. What is he giving you offensively that Rudy doesn't? So it just
For sure, you paid them a minimum, yeah.
Yeah.
You paid Hassan Whiteside a minimum.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert's a $200 million.
Well, I just didn't really understand. Like, okay, if you had like 5-out system where, I don't know, you had Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, and I don't know. Yeah, like Bogdanovic or something. Like you had you went completely small ball and had a 5-out system and you were just looking to score bulk points because you were down 10-15. That's fine. That's where you might take Rudy Gobert out. You have Hassan Whiteside there. So I don't want to hear this rubbish about Rudy Gobert being in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't like it because as soon as a team goes small ball, we can't go out in the perimeter. Draymond Green can. That's why I think Draymond's great odds at $20 or whatever. I mean, the Warriors have a couple of good defenders off the bench. I mean, Gary Payton II is a complete revelation, and he might be along with Matisse Thybulle the best bench defender in the league. Now, Matisse has got a few inches on him, a bit more length, which makes him a better shot blocker. But I'll tell you what, Gary Payton II, if he sniffs that you're being a little bit loose with the ball when you're dribbling, he's snatching it. If he just gets a sniff of it, he's snatching it. He's got I mean, it was his defense the last few games, and his offense. He scored double digits the last 3 games as well. He's got unreal athleticism. But Andre Iguodala is a really good defender. I mean, Iggy's going to be 90 in his mansion, and his great grandchildren are going to come over, and they're going to have the latest iPhone 50, and Andre's going to be slapping it out of their hands clean. Because that dude in terms of when a player goes up or has the ball around the waist area kind of thing, his ability to just slap down on blokes, he's going to be able to do that until he's 50. Like, he's not going to be in the league obviously that long, but I mean,
I will never forgive the NBA for giving him Finals MVP for holding LeBron to like 36, 13, and 9. I don't know if you've read the rumours though about them not the rumours, the actual facts. They've changed the ball. They went from the Wilson to the Spalding ball, and that's affected players. I think they did that one time, and the ball apparently was like ripping, like making players' hands bleed. And I've seen a lot of players complain. I'm not kidding. 2007 or 8, like Shaq, Steve Nash, and Dirk came out saying this ball's actually like scratching, like damaging our hands. And now I don't even know they changed the ball until like this week. And people are saying that's contributing to the fact that it's not as, the bowl just obviously feels different as they're contributing to the shooting slump stroke, and that has any merit. Do you reckon that's
it's a good segue because we do want to talk Damian Lillard and the Blazers, and Dame's one of those players.
He's number one.
I mean, he's shooting 35% from the field and 25% from three and 18.5 points per game. Like, that's disgusting. Look, I don't know. Maybe it has an impact, but do you know what I don't like? Is I don't like players complaining about it to the media. Like, it's just, I don't like, stop telling me that the ball's the reason, like, your shots aren't going in. Now, if you privately want to say to the NBA, if you want to go to the NBA officials, or if you want to get someone from your organisation to go to Adam Silver or something like that and say, hey, I think part of the reason I'm struggling is because of the ball, then all they're going to say is get used to it. We've got this deal with Wilson. We're not changing it, for starters. Like, but if you want to do that, okay, that's fine. But I just don't know why players need to make their presence known, I guess, to the media that, hey, I'm struggling because the ball's different. To me, I've got no sympathy. Just be better. Like, be better. Get used to it. Like, did we not know maybe we didn't know, but surely the players knew for months beforehand that this is going to be the style of ball that we're going to use. Maybe I'm assuming they were practicing with it for the whole, when they were during the off season, especially the preseason. I don't know. It's just, I don't take much into it.
Well, I'm one of those blokes that complains if my shot's off. I say, guys, I think the ball, something's wrong with the ball. But the weirdest person I've seen complaining about is Paul George. Paul George is shooting 49% from the field and over 40% from three, and I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in scoring, if not up there.
I think he is.
In scoring, so it's kind of So I think it may have a little factor in it, but I'm not thinking too much about it.